Your users have intuitive expectations about digital security based on their everyday experiences with encryption. If your corporate applications feel less secure than their personal banking app, that creates both user experience problems and actual security risks. Or worse, if your enterprise security standards are so much more onerous than what they do personally, they'll come up with creative ways to circumvent it. The encryption protecting users' personal digital lives sets expectations for security you provide professionally, and vice versa. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to explain encryption decisions to non-technical stakeholders and make better choices about user-facing security implementations. Let's start with TLS. That's Transport Layer Security. We encounter it hundreds of times per day, even if most people don't know what it's called. Every time someone visits a website with HTTPS, checks email, or uses a mobile app, TLS is what's creating that secure connection. But not all TLS provides the same level of protection, and understanding the differences will help you make better security decisions. Now, TLS 1.3, which is the current standard, eliminates entire categories of vulnerabilities that affected earlier versions. It's faster, more secure, and provides a better user experience. But here's what's relevant for security professionals. Most users' browsers and other applications already support TLS 1.3 and have for quite a while, which means your application should too. That being said, TLS 1.2 is still widely used, and it is secure when configured properly. Now, the key phrase here is properly configured. That's because TLS 1.2 supports cipher suites that could create security gaps, but it also supports modern encryption standards that provide excellent protection. From a user experience perspective, TLS 1.3 actually establishes connections a bit faster than 1.2. That means that websites and applications actually load quicker while providing stronger security. When you're designing user-facing systems, that performance improvement affects both security and user satisfaction. Here's the practical security guidance. If your users' personal banking apps are already using TLS 1.3, and guess what? I can pretty much guarantee they already are, your corporate application should match. Users notice when business applications feel less secure than their personal apps. And if you're still operating any applications that support TLS 1.2, at least make that the fallback option rather than default. You'd be surprised how many applications out there still default to TLS 1.2, even if 1.3 is configured and available just because of when it was initially configured. Now, let's talk about AES and bit length, because that's where security professionals really need to dig in to balance protection, performance, and user expectations. Here's the fundamental reality. Both AES 128 and AES 256 provide security that's mathematically unbreakable with current technology. The difference really matters more for compliance requirements and future-proofing than any immediate security threats. But users have developed this intuitive expectation around these numbers. They know that 256-bit encryption sounds more secure than 128-bit encryption, even if they don't understand the technical details. And this affects how they perceive the security of your applications. From a practical standpoint, AES 256 can require up to 40% more processing power than its 128-bit variation, although newer processors have special instruction sets to help accelerate this. For user-facing applications, this can affect performance, page load times, mobile app responsiveness, and battery usage on mobile devices. The security improvement between the two is marginal at best, particularly with quantum computing coming around the corner, but the performance impact is real, particularly on older devices. Here's where understanding everyday encryption helps. Your users' WhatsApp messages use AES 256 encryption. Their banking apps typically use AES 256 encryption. Now, their email applications will often use AES 128 for the user interface for performance reasons, but they'll use AES 256 for storing those messages for later retrieval. So which should you choose? I would use AES 256 for applications that handle the most sensitive user data, and AES 128 for applications where performance matters more than the theoretical security difference. You'd be surprised how many older applications still support algorithms and bit depths that are no longer secure. Generally, you can disable those security modes. Do it. Let's dive a bit deeper into what encryption is actually running in the applications your users trust with their most sensitive data, because this will provide a framework for how you can design your enterprise security decisions. So as we mentioned, WhatsApp uses the Signal protocol with AES 256 encryption and Curve 25519 key exchange. Say that 5 times fast. This combination provides end-to-end encryption, meaning that even WhatsApp can't read the messages that users send or receive in the app. Users have come to expect that level of privacy protection in messaging applications. Now, Gmail uses TLS 1.3 to protect emails in transit and AES 256 to encrypt stored messages on Google servers. But Google can still access that email content because they hold the encryption keys. Users understand this trade-off intuitively. You get the convenience of being able to access your emails from anywhere versus the complete privacy of something like WhatsApp. Now let's talk a bit about banking applications. They typically encrypt data both in motion and at rest everywhere in their stack. They'll use TLS 1.3 for negotiating the connection and AES 256 pretty much everywhere to make sure that that data is as secure as possible. They also implement sophisticated techniques like certificate pinning to avoid man-in-the-middle attacks and other types of attack vectors. This defense-in-depth approach is why banking apps can feel more secure to users. Now, on the flip side, shopping apps like Amazon still use TLS 1.3 for negotiating connections and AES 256 for payment processing, but they balance security and user experience by using lower grade encryption for browsing their websites. So payment information gets maximum protection, while product browsing uses optimized encryption for speed. That's a pattern you'll notice in a lot of consumer applications. They'll use strong encryption by default, but they'll still optimize for user experience within those security constraints. I believe this provides a template for enterprise application security. Strong protection that doesn't create friction for legitimate users. Here's something that you can use to help bridge everyday encryption and professional security practices, and that's called the CBOM, or Cryptographic Bill of Materials. Just like users benefit from understanding what encryption protects their personal data, security professionals need visibility into what cryptographic standards are protecting organizational data. This is particularly important if you're running any legacy applications with built-in cryptography. Since a lot of legacy applications don't always have complete documentation or easy to understand crypto configurations, the best place to see this is actually at the network level. The concept is straightforward. Document what encryption you're actually using across your applications and infrastructure. This includes the TLS versions and ciphers your web applications negotiate, the encryption at rest implementations for your data storage, and the encryption standards for your applications. Why does this matter? Because your security is only as good as your weakest link, which means every interaction is a chance for a vulnerability. So where do you start? Personally, I'd start with those user-facing applications and work my way backwards. What encryption does your customer portal use compared to the banking apps your customers trust? What about your employee applications compared to the consumer services they use personally? Your goal isn't to match every consumer application exactly, but to ensure your security decisions are informed by user expectations and real-world encryption standards. And this means that next time you're explaining why certain encryption standards matter, you can reference the security people already trust in their daily digital lives. When you're designing user-facing security, you'll understand what level of protection users intuitively expect based on their personal application experiences. Start by auditing the encryption in applications you use personally, then compare that to what you're implementing professionally. Those insights will improve both your security decisions and your ability to communicate those decisions to others.